Good evening, good evening, good evening. Hope you're all well. Hope you're all doing good. After doing research before this show, not so good. The subject today is anyone to blame? And just want to, before I start, I'm just seeing comments coming through. Moss, how are you? How you doing? And Walter. I'm Walter. Josh is in the house. Big up, everyone. I was hoping for more. I was hoping for a call in, other people's opinions. I've researched this enough. I was going to go into my background, to be honest, not going to bother now. But this is something that I do. I'm quite good at it. So who is to blame at Arsenal for what can only be described as very awful 3 results? In my opinion, you'll find out at the end, because I'm not going to tell you now. Don't worry about it, Josh. We have Safik. Hello, Safik. Hello, Safik.
Hi. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, mate. How are you?
I'm doing good. How about you?
I was good until I started researching this topic tonight. I can tell you that now. But what's your opinion before I even crack into any of mine?
I just, not to pin the blame on anyone, I just like to point out certain ideas, just bounce some ideas of you and see how you feel about them.
Yeah, go for it.
One of the first one obviously is the lack of being clinical in front of goal, right? So that obviously it's on everyone's mind. The recruitment part of Arsenal, right? Couldn't we get a striker if we knew that Aubameyang will be moved on to Barca? So that's obviously one part. And another part which I found pretty interesting, which I don't think many people would have considered, is players like Tavares or Lokonga haven't been performing as well, right? So I was just thinking, why haven't they been performing as well? And well, we've sent Saliba on loan, we've sent people like that on loan, and I do understand that these people have been signed to serve as a backup to the likes of Thomas Partey and the likes of Kieran Tierney. But didn't it ever cross Arteta's mind or the team at Arsenal's mind that if these main players were to get injured, that these players will not be able to step up to the same level, and that could affect the quality of a game at Arsenal? So I was just thinking, if not, if Lokonga could have maybe been sent for a short loan spell, or if not, maybe play for the under 23, something like that, just to get a taste of what it's like at the top, because clearly he isn't at Thomas Partey's level, nowhere even near.
No, he's not. Well, this is the thing. I've said to Tom, and I've said to everyone that I've always talked about, that Arsenal are lacking a squad. We have 12 good first team players, and that's including Leno. I'm not going to include Pepe in that just because he doesn't suit Arteta for whatever reason. That's up to him.
Yeah.
But we need 22 squad players, not 12. So when Tierney drops, or let's say someone else, let's lose. If Saka went out, I know he'd pick Pepe, but he doesn't suit his play. So he's a backup, isn't he? He's not a squad player. Because I want squad. I don't want backups. I can't stand the word backup. Backup is not a trusted word. Lokonga, I don't think we were expecting to play him so much this year. And I think that was a shock even to him, the poor lad.
It was. And that's a very good point you make there by saying that you hate the word backup, because as we've seen, teams like Chelsea, United, City, and Liverpool, even the so-called backups that they do have, even when they do have to step in and when their main player is injured, they come in and they put in such a shift, and they don't seem at backups at all. And sometimes you wonder, and obviously when we are linked to such players in the transfer market, we always say that yes, we'll obviously take them at Arsenal and stuff like that. So even considering that if we need to make that shift to the higher level, we need to get such players in, and I think that's the recruitment department. One more point that I wanted to bring up.
Yeah, go
This
for it.
was obviously brought in by the commentators a lot during our games this season. We've been really good at defending set pieces, and I was just thinking how many set pieces have we actually scored, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
It's
come
such a
to
good
think of
point.
the offensive side of things, set pieces we really haven't been that great. Uh, and obviously, this point was kind of ignored till about the last game when Cedric started to hit them all over the place. But yeah, I
It,
mean,
it,
the offense. Go on,
it
go on.
is a concern for me. I know we've obviously got this because I've done research for like 3 hours on this afternoon. And it was
Yeah,
the more I did, the more upset I got because I was like,
yeah,
how is this happening at our club? It's like our
yeah,
set piece coach is Nicholas. I don't know how you say the surname. Jova,
yeah. Hmm.
whatever the guy's name is. But at the end of the day, it's finishing, isn't it? All the time, everything's finishing. Set
Yeah.
pieces. I don't think you're necessary. I don't think it's his job to say you're going to score from that because that's
Yeah.
down to the player. His set
Hmm.
pieces, I think, are very good,
Yeah.
but it's the scoring. And that whilst we're on this point of coaches, I was looking at our
Yeah.
coaching system,
Hmm.
and it's awful. Did you know
Okay.
that two of our main coaches, which are let's get these right, Carlos Cuesta
Yeah, the
and
youngster, I've seen him.
Miguel Molina, both
Hmm.
very young,
Yeah.
never played football. I don't think, as far as I've looked into them, they've never played
Hmm.
football.
Okay.
It concerns me that they've never played football. Do
I
you know
mean,
what I
I
mean?
get where
Because
you're
I
coming
don't know
from.
how
Yeah.
long you've supported Arsenal, but I've always been used to having um, a footballer having
Yeah.
something to do with the coaching system. Sorry, my signal's probably not quite great at the moment. It seems to keep saying it's playing up. But it does concern me. And then I looked
Hmm.
at Steve Round and, as they
Yeah.
call AirPod Albert Stuvenberg.
Yeah.
And the honours that they've got
Hmm.
are the ones that they've won with us. Nothing else.
Okay. Oh.
Albert's won the under 17s Netherlands Championship, whatever that is.
Hmm.
I'm guessing
Okay.
it's like the under it, and he
Yeah. Yeah.
won an FA Cup at Man United.
Hmm.
It concerns me that because I have no problem with Mikel Arteta. Well, I do, but I'm not. This is
Yeah.
not an Mikel Arteta out day. This is.
Exactly.
I'm
Yeah.
trying to assess what the big problem is.
Hmm.
That's a lot of inexperience around a very inexperienced manager. That's
It
my
is.
concern.
It is. It is, and that does come in, especially for the. I guess it comes to light even more for the smaller clubs because when they sign managers like managers who've been accomplished players like Vieira and Gerrard and Lampard and the likes of those. I guess that is one of their major concerns when they sign such managers because those managers have been there, they've played at the highest level, and they've won those honors. So I do suppose that's a very valid factor that you do bring up.
It's because I've supported Arsenal for 40 years, and when
Wow.
we had George Graham, it was Stuart Houston, a very good man. Ended up being a caretaker for a bit before Bruce Rioch, which was just a nightmare season in its own
Okay.
right. But then we brought Arsene Wenger in, and he
Yeah.
had Pat Rice,
Hmm.
Arsenal legend at the club.
Yeah.
Bob Wilson was at the club, Arsenal legend, goalkeeping coach. We
Yeah.
had legends. We've seemed to have scrapped it all at Arsenal because if you go up one level at Arsenal, you then go into
Mhm.
like the board and the CEO or the technical director Edu.
Yeah.
You've
Yeah.
still got inexperience. There's not a
Yeah.
lot of Edu's done nothing really before he come here. He was director of football at Corinthians.
Hmm. Yeah.
Does that really mean much? I don't know. Corinthians are a very big club anyway in Brazil.
It only comes up when we're linked with a Brazilian player, and then it comes up in the article that Edu worked with that player when he
Yeah, but the problem
was in
is, how many
Brazil.
have we signed?
Exactly.
One.
Yeah. One.
It doesn't seem to be having much effect on us. But I was
That's
then
true.
looking at the board, and you've got Vinay, which I will go
Hmm.
into because he is an issue for me. But
He's a
you've got
finance
Lord.
man. He's not a football
Yes,
man.
I
He's
will
a
go into
finance
him.
man.
I've got a lot about him in a minute. Lord Harris of Peckham.
Okay.
He's something to do with carpet, right? Something
Yeah.
to do with floors.
Mm.
I don't know what that's got to do with anything. And then Tim Lewis, looking
Oh.
into him, he's actually Stan Kroenke's lawyer.
Oh wow.
So his lawyer is one of the board members.
Right.
What the heck is that all about?
I suppose that's more of an administrative decision rather than a footballing decision. But
It's now this is not me having a go at Kroenke because he's put money in, because I'll
yeah.
get into finances very soon about it, but he's definitely put
Okay.
money in. So it's not his
Right.
well, it is his fault, but it's not his fault. Do you know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
he gives the money, but then
Mm.
he's hired the inexperience to spend that money. It's like
Yeah.
giving £50 to my 8-year-old son, telling him to go to the local supermarket and buy food for the week, and I guarantee he'll come back with sweets and toys.
Yeah,
Do you
for
know what I
sure.
mean?
Yeah.
It's just pointless. So
Yeah.
for me, it's because Richard Garlick, I don't know. I know he's director of football, but has he done much since he's come in? Do you know of anything, Satvik?
Definitely not anything that, because that has come to light, because the media hasn't been talking about him. The last I've heard of him is when he signed. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it
absolutely
scares me.
nothing.
So that is my point on the coaches and the Vinay. Yeah, Vinay, my wonderful Vinay. He's got many fingers in many pies, isn't he? That guy. He is the CEO, obviously, of Arsenal. He's
Yeah.
involved in European Club Association, which I didn't
Okay.
know what that was, and the
I think
Olympic.
I heard of that when the whole ESL scandal was happening.
Did
It's an
you?
association. Yeah, it's an association of all the clubs that, all the CEOs, Ed Woodward of obviously Manchester United, and all of them are part of that. So that when the major decisions are made and stuff, they get to have a say in that. So that's
Because
basically clubs all over Europe having an
okay,
association.
well, he's part of the Olympic Committee. Why
Okay.
he's part of that is beyond me. But he's a very quiet man, isn't he? He needs to come out and speak more.
Yeah, I mean, we're used to seeing him once a season for like one statement, which is like a pre-recorded kind of thing, which he prepares for and reads out. But yeah, in terms of footballing involvement, I clearly do not see the commitment from Vinay.
No, I saw him. I saw him yesterday at the not yesterday. What day is it today? It's Saturday. Yeah, so
Uh,
Sunday. Yeah, Sunday. He was at the women's match, which I was quite liked. I quite liked. He was in the audience for that, so that was nice.
mhm.
But what I did, I went back 40 years, and I
Okay.
worked out the average for each decade that Arsenal have
Mhm.
finished.
Okay.
Now, out of the 40 years, when do you
Mhm.
think is our worst period? Let's have a guess. See if you can guess it.
I mean, I've got to say this the most recent decade.
Yeah.
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 I mean,
The
I can
best.
relate to that more because I started supporting Arsenal. I was born in 2000, so I started in 2007 when I was 7. So obviously, older fans like you will definitely be able to appreciate how tough it has been, because that was literally the start of our not winning period, if you will.
Yeah. It
um,
was. I've supported them since I was since 1988. So I went back to 1982. Our
right.
average position for the last decade is
Mhm.
5.5. So
Okay.
being sixth right now is about right. But I will go into that because there's something more interesting on that in a minute. But
Yeah.
the previous decade, our average position was third, which I thought was actually quite good. I was quite impressed with that.
That is impressive. Yeah.
And back in 82 to 91, our average position was
Mhm.
fifth. So, and
Yeah.
I've seen us finish 12th and 10th. So to
Right.
be an average position of fifth is pretty good, pretty
Yeah.
impressive, I have to say. But
Yeah.
what I did, I'm this sad. I calculated the value
Okay.
of every club in the Premier League.
Hmm. Okay.
Now I'm gonna have some fun with you, Satvik, here. Who
Sure,
do you
go ahead.
reckon's got the most valuable team in the whole Premier League? If I'm only by first, I mean first 11. So this is the first 11 that they would pick.
You're going off transfer market values, yeah?
Yep.
I won't be surprised if it's Chelsea. Is it Chelsea? Man City then? Yeah.
Man City's first. I'm going to tell you the
Okay.
second. It's Liverpool. Who do you reckon's
Mhm.
third?
Um, Chelsea maybe? Is it?
Man United.
Oh, that checks out. Yeah. They,
Yeah.
they they buy players for such a at such a premium, so
Right.
it
I'll
figures
tell you
out.
who the fourth is. It's the one you keep mentioning, Chelsea. So who do you
Right.
reckon
Yeah.
is the fifth most expensive club?
The way you say it, I don't think it's Arsenal. So, um, I mean, the only other club is probably Spurs, but I don't think it's Spurs. Is it Arsenal?
You just said it.
It's not. It's
It's
Spurs.
Spurs. Yeah. Their
That is
value is
embarrassing.
more
That
than
is
ours.
embarrassing.
It's embarrassing, but then you also think of it logically. Where are
Yeah.
we right now? Sixth.
Yeah.
So I'm not happy with sixth. I always want
Mhm.
to compete for everything that we enter. But this is
Yeah.
because our club has been run badly. So, but to be
Yeah.
sixth, but I'm gonna have some more fun with you.
Okay.
Who do you reckon's got the least value in the Premier League?
Norwich?
No, it's actually Watford,
Watford, okay.
which shocked me because they've got really rich owners. But
Right, yeah.
the bottom three are actually Burnley, Norwich, and Watford. So, and
Mm.
where are they? All in
Yeah.
relegation.
All in relegation, yeah.
So to be fair, this system kind of worked a little bit because I was like, well, that's quite impressive because
Quite
it kind of
quite an
matches.
interesting metric, yeah.
Yeah, because I was interested by that.
Hmm.
But yeah, so to be sixth, to have the sixth most expensive squad, kind of makes sense, really. I'm not happy with it, but
Yeah.
that's many years of bad investments. But there we go. We'll go into that as well.
Yeah.
Right, what else did I find out? Coaches have done. Oh yes, just very quickly. Obviously, I looked into the history of when Kroenke bought us.
Hmm.
Obviously, started to own us in 2007, didn't they? Little bit of ownership there.
Yeah. Small
Then
stake, and then
owned the majority in 2011, but then fully owned us 4 years ago.
yeah.
So, but then you compare that to how our position has been going; it has been dropping drastically, and
Hmm.
that concerns me. Now, I've looked into how Kroenke runs his clubs or teams, however you want to call it. He's
Yeah.
probably going to call it businesses, but I call it clubs because that's what it
Yeah.
is.
He
But
probably does, to be fair, yeah.
well, yeah, because it's LA Rams. They've got Sean
Uh,
McVay, haven't they?
yeah.
It works there, but this is where I could get concerned. And I don't know much about it, and hopefully Moss might have tell me who's in the chat. Is
Hmm.
the team around him is that experienced? Because ours isn't, and Arteta is. It's like
Yeah.
like the analogy I said earlier. You're giving your son £50 to go to the supermarket
Hmm.
to trust him to get the weekly shopping. Is it going to be done? He's very inexperienced to have such a
Yeah.
big club.
Yeah, and just the kind of irony I see here is we always like, especially since Arteta's come in, he's been trying to build a younger squad, right? In the hopes that that will benefit us in the future, and it
Yeah,
probably will. But now that you mention all of these things, it actually quite seems that we have quite the young everything. I mean, the whole manager, the team around him, all of them are young in terms of they haven't had much success elsewhere and stuff like that. So the learning curve is not only in the team; it's around the team as well.
it is. It's. I'll get your analysis in a little bit. I want to
Yeah.
see what your opinion is and what we should do.
Hmm.
But what I did do was very quickly. I compared the last decade on 4 different teams on who spent the most over the
Okay.
whole 10 years, which is
Yeah.
quite a long time. I did Chelsea, Liverpool, Tottenham, and Arsenal.
Hmm. Right.
So, knowing those three teams, who do you think has spent the most in the last 10 years?
It's going to be Chelsea because Abramovich. It's not.
It's us.
Ooh,
I
that's
know.
rough. I didn't expect that.
Yeah, we what I've done is everything transfer wise we spent. So like money that we actually might have made, which wouldn't have been much anyway for us because we don't seem to make much. I did the whole 10 years of every transfer window. I had a very boring afternoon. Can you tell? But we spent over the past 10 years. This was down to 2010-2011 season. £571 million. Chelsea was £542 million. Who's got a better squad?
It's clearly them. Their second squad is probably better than ours at the moment.
It's scary, isn't it?
Yeah.
Tottenham only spent over the past 10 years 277 million. And Liverpool, which scared me even more, only spent 381 million. And the reason I did Liverpool is because that's the closest comparison, as in the owners. Do you know how, like the Americans, they're American owners, so they kind of work the same system, don't they? Self-sustaining and all this rubbish. Yeah. But they only spent 381 million. And 10 years ago, what were we doing 10 years ago?
I see where you're coming from, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Since then, we've spent and nothing's happened. It's just got worse and worse. Look at our team now. I'm not saying that the players that we brought in are bad, because they're not. They've definitely got potential.
Yep.
But my word, what are we doing? And that is scary. For me, that is petrifying. I've seen us sign players from Ipswich Town in like the early 90s. Chris Kwamia from Ipswich Town. If we signed someone from Ipswich Town now, we'd be like, what are we doing? What are we doing?
Yeah, the fan base would lose its mind.
Yeah, but at the time, he was quite a good player. Wasn't fantastic, but he was woeful for us. Absolutely awful, shocking. But it's one of those. It's got really scary now, and this is why I want to do this show, because for me, who is to blame is pretty much everybody. It's not one person. The whole club needs to look at itself and go, what are we doing? We're spending all this money and nothing's happening. Nothing's being won. The fans are all losing it.
Yeah.
So what's your opinion anyway?
It is quite scary when you put it like that, because the research you've done, first of all, is really good, and the stats, that the way you've presented them, do scare the average fan quite a bit.
Yeah, it scared me because I didn't even know. I've been a fan for 40 years. Funny enough, I don't follow the financials of my club. I just enjoy the club. But I thought for this show, I'm going to need to look into it. I knew enough about the board that I wasn't going to like that, but the financials was I was shocked. For one of those seasons that Chelsea done, they actually made a profit of 100 million, which I'm guessing was Hazard. Yeah, but what do we do with the players that go out of our club?
I mean, I honestly can't think of a single player who Arsenal have let go in the past, let's say 5 to 6 years, and been like, oh, that's a really good deal we got for him. I honestly can't think. Joe Willock is probably
Sorry,
the one
Willock,
player.
if you're watching.
Yeah.
So thank you for that money.
Sure, yeah. But yeah, apart from him, I really can't think of any player who got sold for a reasonable fee who we didn't want. So, I mean that also gives a pretty good signal of players who we sell, if they're not getting sold for a good amount, and if they're going, especially in the last few seasons, players have been going for next to nothing. Most of them, their contracts run out, or they're just not. Clubs aren't ready to pay. any amount for them, and then they just go for next to nothing. So
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty good indicator of the value of players who have not made it here. But I do hope at least the players who have come in now can move ahead to the future. Their values do seem to be increasing uh, as time
That
goes by.
for the for the longest time that I can remember, for like the past 10 years, I think the
Hmm.
players that we're signing now have got such good sell-on value. And I know I shouldn't be thinking
Yeah,
about selling them,
I
but
know.
it's
Yeah,
it's the fact that if it didn't work out, and
should it come
I'm
to
not,
that?
I'm
Yeah.
gonna pick one player in, for instance. If it doesn't
Hmm.
work out for Odegaard, I guarantee we'll
Yeah.
get a lot more money for him. And I'm
Oh,
not
for
saying I
sure.
want
Yeah.
to sell him. It's just
Yeah.
his value is way more than 30 million.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, do you know
I
what I
get
mean?
where you're
So
coming from. Yeah. If it does come to that for many players, hopefully we should at least be able to recoup the majority of our investment. Yeah.
yeah. So what do you think will happen this summer?
Uh, I mean, what should happen is we should definitely get quality players in, and at least the kind of players who, especially in this situation, for example, players who can step in and not affect the playing of the squad, as much as it has affected now,
Yeah,
right? So we should at least get in that. And I think one point which I wanted to bring up, not quite related to the squad but related to the way we play. uh, One is, for example, now we have the next game against Chelsea, and I'm pretty sure we're going to put up a pretty spirited performance, right? We're not going to, uh, we might lose them, but definitely not by big margins, as some part of the deluded fan base is claiming. We've actually played against the big clubs pretty well this season, apart from one major loss. We played Man City pretty well last time we played them. We played Liverpool in the FA Cup quite impressively, I thought. And if we didn't get the red cards, who knows how that game would have gone. So yeah, we've played the big clubs pretty well, but the way we play the little clubs, that really has to improve. The smaller clubs, like the Burnley, for example, that game. Then obviously Crystal Palace were pretty good on their day, but Brighton and Southampton were definitely two games, which with the right mentality we should definitely have won. And I think that is the main difference between the three at the top, that is Man City, Liverpool, and Chelsea, and then the difference between clubs like us, Spurs, and United. I think that is the main difference. Like, for example, when clubs like Liverpool and Man City are, let's say, one down going into halftime against a smaller club, there is something about those teams apart from only player quality. Maybe it might be in the tactics, maybe it might be part of the strategy, maybe it's part of how they play. I don't know what it is, I can't put my finger on it. But definitely there's something about those bigger clubs that they somehow find a way to get the point back, and they somehow sometimes even manage to get 3 points out of that game. So, and that's what separates those teams, because at the end of the day, they have more wins than us, they have
yeah,
more points than us, and how they've got that is by doing this. It's not
yeah,
always been plain sailing for them. They don't just score in the first minute and go into the halftime always with the lead. There have been many instances where they've gone and down, and uh, they've come back pretty well. So I think that's how we play these squads, which like score an early goal and then go full drop back like Southampton did. They were quite
yeah,
happy to let us do as we please and confident in their ability to not let us score. So that's, I think,
yeah.
something we definitely need to work on.
Well, that moves me on to Arteta. Really, my
Hmm.
concern with Arteta, and it was
Yeah.
when we got him, was his inexperience,
Hmm.
and what I don't think he's learnt yet, and he does need to do it very quickly now. Is he needs to be able to change the tactics within a game. He doesn't do that very well. He doesn't.
Yeah.
He seems to just stick with it and then change a position, but
Yeah.
the tactics are pretty much the same because he like
Exactly.
takes Laka off, puts Nketiah on. Well, what's that going to do? Nothing. If anything, that probably weakens us. No offense,
Yeah.
Eddie, but it does kind of weaken us, and it
Yeah.
scares me. And he's been at the club for 3 years now,
Yeah.
and it is getting to a point where I'm starting to think this guy might not be the right man. I didn't think he was at the first, and I still don't. But using a calm and level head, I still can't see where he's going to take us right now. I don't want to be horrible to the guy because he's done something for our club in the past as a player, fair enough. And he's won 2 cups with us, fair enough. But he does worry me.
That is a very good point you brought up about the change of tactics. He normally goes into games with a set game plan, and then within the game, it really doesn't change much. That's a good point you brought up. And I think that's true. He really doesn't change much in game, and I think that's where Wenger, who got us fourth so many times out of really precarious positions, did so well. Sometimes when Sanchez wasn't really working, we weren't getting enough balls to the target man. He brought in Olivier Giroud. Someone who's really tall, someone who created a bit of danger in the box, created a bit of panic among the defenders. And I think that's definitely something where Arteta, if he does stay on, has to definitely improve in changing the tactics as the requirements of the game change.
Yeah. See, in January, would you have signed anybody?
I mean, if I knew Aubameyang would have left, and if that was the plan all along, which I think Arteta had, then I would definitely sign a striker. Because at the end, okay, fine, we can possibly forgive Arteta for the left back and the right back situation, because we couldn't possibly have figured that out. But at least the striker position, I don't think there's much of an excuse anyone could make for that. You can't go into expecting top four with Lacazette and Nketiah with the form that they were in. I can understand if Lacazette was banging the goals in and he was getting a goal at least every other game, and Nketiah was playing really well in the under-23s, and we had a proper core which we thought would step in. That wasn't the case. He wasn't in top form even back then in December. He wasn't scoring as many goals as he was in his prime, and that should really have been a signal for Arteta that if Aubameyang left, at least a backup should have been signed. And I'm not talking, the long-term striker option that we probably will sign in the summer now. Even a prem-proven striker from a smaller club, basically someone who would score a few goals for us, maybe a bit of individual brilliance or something.
Who would you have gone for?
Was Chris Wood available?
Well, he would have been actually, because Newcastle just paid the money and got him because it was a release clause, wasn't it? So we could have got him. That to be fair, you're the first person that's actually said that as an Arsenal player. But I've never thought.
I mean, we've never been linked to him or something, but that's the kind of player you think about because clubs like Newcastle, and I think he was at Burnley before, was it?
Yeah.
So I think players at those kind of clubs, Peter Crouch, Chris Wood, players like that, they just get a goal out of nowhere. Clubs like Burnley, and they don't get like really great deliveries into the box, and no offense to the playmakers out there, but their goals are mostly set pieces, and from absolutely nowhere they score. Exactly like the Southampton goal that came from absolutely nowhere. You need someone like that to just have an assertive presence in the box. That we don't have any assertive presence in the box. The maximum we get is when Gabriel and White come down for the corners. That's about it. On the attack, we have absolutely no aerial presence, and I think an aerial presence is definitely something that we should have had, at least going into the games against the smaller teams.
It's like the Joss Newcastle fan is saying 5 realistic players you'd sign and 5 you'd sell. 5 realistic players we'd sell. They're probably all out on loan right now. 5 we'd sign. To be honest, I couldn't even answer that question. We'd need 2 strikers. We need at least 2 midfielders for me personally, and we do need. See, I'd need more. I'd want more than 5. I'd want about 8, but that's me being greedy.
That would be the ideal scenario.
Because I think I might have to do that type of show later in the year. It's like, who would I actually want to fill this? Because I want a squad. So to have 12, I need another 10, to be honest. Do you know what I mean? But who would you do? Who would you realistic players for you?
And I do think it's worth mentioning to Josh here that the definition of realistic can change a lot based on where we finish.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. But as of now, Cody Gakpo, I think Tom really likes him. And as much as I've seen of him, I think he could definitely come. That's one striker done. The second striker, I think Ivan Toney is realistic. If Brentford don't do too well, I think Ivan Toney could. I think it's a possibility. I mean, I'm trying to be as realistic as possible here and not go for the big names.
I like Tony. I like Tony. When I do a show with Tariq Talks, I did a show with Tariq that you probably spoke to in the chats before, TGG and stuff.
Yeah.
And we mentioned Tony for England call up because he is actually pretty good. So
he is. I'd honestly take him over Ollie Watkins. I'm being honest.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't take Ollie Watkins. Yeah, he's too much more of a wide man, I think.
Yeah.
But anyone else you can think of?
Maybe for the midfield roles, the links have dried up a bit. But Fabian Ruiz.
Okay,
I would really take Fabian Ruiz, and maybe for another centre mid. I was really sad when the Bissouma links died down. I would have really taken Bissouma, assuming he's still available. If not, maybe Ruben Neves. Ruben Neves would definitely be on my list.
Yeah, well, I'm actually from Wolverhampton, so I can't say that. I'm literally 100 metres away from their stadium, so I don't want to say I will have Neves live on air, just in case I'm seen around the town. So, but yes, Neves is a good player. I'll say that. That's what I'll say. But Moss was saying Weghorst. I thought it was quite a good signing.
That is Weghorst. He's been doing bits for Burnley, and it's definitely. I mean, I'll be honest. I didn't know he was available until Burnley signed him.
Moss has gone for a big shopping list here. I like that. Jonathan David, obviously, he always talks about Jonathan David. Gakpo, Cook Miners. Yeah, I've seen him play for Atalanta. He's actually very good. Svanberg, still haven't seen him enough yet. Tielemans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's not having a good season, but that might be he's just ready to leave, isn't he? He might be.
Mm-hmm.
Lamptey, way too much. Mazuri, he's already off to Bayern Munich, I think, already. So that's a no.
That's
but,
what
I do like his style of choosing. Tony, what's this? Tony, if good price, yep. Oh, Calvin Phillips. Oh, yes, please. But that's getting too much money. Way too much money.
Calvin Phillips and Declan Rice are probably moving on to bigger clubs.
Yeah, and Callum Wilson. Too old now for me. Isn't he 29, 30 now?
He is, yeah.
So that's basically a lacquer, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, doesn't make sense to go for another one of those.
No, not for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so in your opinion, is anyone to blame for this situation at Arsenal?
I would honestly go for the recruitment team as of now. That would be the recruitment team, number one, and number two. It pains me to say it, but Arteta.
No, look, I'm not one of these. You've probably heard of the certain type of Arsenal fan that his name is very similar to a nickname of Arsenal. I won't say his name because I don't like to say it. But I'm not an Arteta man out. I'm an Arsenal fan. I don't really care who the manager is as long as we're playing well and we're competing.
Yeah.
But right now he's not doing the job that he was brought in to do. Unless that is if his job was to come in and finish top 8 for the next 3 years, then fair enough. But as far as we're aware, wasn't the task. Yeah. It was to get back into the Champions League, which he's not done, and I can't see it happening this year. I know everyone wants to be a bit positive, but I just can't see it.
I really can't, because we have a game with Liverpool and they're still in with a chance for the title. So that's definitely not going to be. We're not going to come away with anything from that game. We're
Yeah.
playing Chelsea next. They just
Yeah.
got into the final of the FA Cup. Their bounce back. I don't think we're getting anything from that game.
Painful.
We have the North London derby. They're looking for top
Yeah.
4, so we'll be lucky if we come away with something from there. There's only
If
a
that
couple
was at
of games left.
Highbury, if that was at Emirates, I'd be a bit more optimistic about North London derby, but it's at their ground.
Yeah, but to be fair, the away fans have been really good. I'm hearing this season.
Yeah, I went to the Arsenal Wolves at the Wolves with the away fans, so I've got to see how mad they are and how passionate. No matter what, they are crazy. And yeah, I love the away fans. They're mad. But yeah, anyone else to blame for you? So it's just Arteta and the recruitment.
I would say that Arteta for a combination of factors, one of which is the strategy for playing lower teams, and for the decision to not sign a striker. So Arteta and the recruitment team for me would be the two main people to blame. I think picking anyone else would be a bit of a stretch at this point because the season isn't still over. And but do you have anyone in mind? Do go on.
What to blame?
Yeah.
Everybody. I'm not because at the end of the day, Kroenke is the owner. He's the guy that should be making the right decisions to say, okay, if I was Kroenke today, I'd sack Vinay because I don't think he's doing the right job.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have Edu. That's me right now, and that's me even saying I'll keep Arteta because I would just put a better support network around him, and then maybe he might improve because to have Edu above him concerns me. Like I'd take Ralph Ragnick tomorrow.
Yeah,
I'd have him at our club.
Just to think of this, if we do finish 5th and we just miss out on 4th by a small margin, what are the chances do you actually see that we would replace any of these people? None, right?
No. I don't. I think even if we finish 7th, I don't think he'd do anything. And that's me being. I hate the fact that I'm even saying that, but I don't think they'd do anything. I think 8th, I still don't think they'd do anything. I think if it was 11th, they'd do something. I think there'd be panic stations then.
Yeah, but now that you've said it like that, I do agree with you. Maybe at least Edu or Richard Garlick, a replacement, might do us a world of good.
Just like a coach or two would be really good.
Yeah.
Like just someone that's got some experience that have done something somewhere. But
of
like
winning,
because looking at their experience as coaches, like having a 25-year-old, I'm 41. Do you know what I mean? At 25, I was in the army.
Yeah.
He's literally gone to university, got a degree, and he's now the coach at Arsenal Football Club. He's learned stuff out of a book.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I've played football. Do you know what I mean?
When you say it like that, he's just 3 years older than me. Yeah, I definitely am on your side then.
Yeah, because he's probably going to be a great coach one day. But this is Arsenal Football Club. At least have him there, but then have some experience with him. That scares me. For me, it petrifies me, and I can't see it ever changing. But like literally, the honours of our 2 assistant managers have been with us. Steve Round, which I never liked him in the first place, to be fair, maybe because he actually was at United, but both of them actually were at United. Stuyvenberg was as well. So we've both got United flops basically, because that was when Man United weren't winning anything much either. They were just winning FA Cups and cup matches here and there. So, is it great coaching? No, not really. I like Albert a bit more.
Yeah, would you take Mertesacker if he was promoted to the coaching staff?
Yeah, I didn't like him as a player, but he had those performances for Arsenal where you just end up smiling. You go, "Well done, Mertesacker. Well done." Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, one of those was in the FA Cup final as well.
Yeah, but like, let's think of someone more logical. Like Freddie Lundberg, he left. Why?
Yeah.
Why did he leave? I have no idea. Dennis
Yeah.
Bergkamp, why has he not been
Exactly.
brought back to the club? Thierry Henry, another one.
Yeah.
Do you know what? Because they were actually coaches, so
Yeah,
we
they are.
can incorporate them. You know,
Mhm.
I don't know any other players. I know Oleg
I mean,
Luzhny was obviously, but he's got a situation going on now. But
the way Crystal Palace are doing Patrick Vieira as well.
the way they play,
Oh,
it's just phenomenal. The way they attack is Wenger-like, and it's quite scary.
and to be fair, the way he's transformed the squad in such a short period of time. I remember reading something about their team, the average age of their team. He's just brought that down in less than a season, something Arteta's taken about 2.5 years to do.
Yeah,
So, he seems kind of like a take action kind of guy. He doesn't mess about, and he's quite clear on what he wants to do, and he's actually doing it. So Crystal Palace have been, I think, they've been really nice by signing Vieira. He's really doing good for them.
yeah. But I'm going to end it there, Satvik. Is there any?
Right,
Is there
yeah.
any? Can you shout yourself out? Twitch or Twitter or anything like that?
It's Satvik Guru Prasad on Twitter and Instagram. Yeah,
And we
and
can all find
obviously,
you in Discord. Yeah.
yeah, of course.
But thank you everyone for the chat and everyone that's watched. I do appreciate it. Satvik, big up for you to come in. I really appreciate it, mate.
It's been a real pleasure, mate, especially with all the great research you've done. It was really good listening to all of that.
Thank you, Satvik. But everyone, speak to you soon. Thank you for tuning in. Take care, everyone.